Good morning, everybody, or I should say, happy Gobble Day for those that celebrate Thanksgiving or just getting together with the family. It is I, Drew, aka Serial Killer, with some more sorcery content. We did pretty good with our unboxing last time, and this time I want to do something a little bit different. Me and my friend are sharing the pre-construction decks. This is fully sealed, and at first we were just gonna get a box and see where we go from there. But as you guys know, I can't just stick to one thing, so I am learning how to deck build and learning a little bit more about the game. As we go through the game, just natural progression, kind of like, all right, you started the game, you got your pre-con decks because you wanted, a nice base of a land or just a couple of the avatars. You got yourself one box. I want to do kind of like going through the pre-constructed decks, which I haven't seen a lot of people do or talk about. So coming from a beginner stage, and me myself being a beginner also, I will look through the rule book here and there if I have questions, and hopefully I can answer some of the things that you guys have been thinking about. So if you looked at the previous video from a couple of days ago, you'll notice that I did pretty good on my pool box. I did a lot better than I thought I was going to do. In fact, I was dumb. A card which I thought was a misprint foil was actually a Curio, which was an ultra rare card. Thanks, shout out to Reddit for bringing that to my attention when I asked a question about it. And now we're just going to go over the pre-con decks and see their viability, see kind of the construction of what people, kind of what the thought process of what people who made the decks or how they're supposed to play like each element, or at least two of them. As I said, I'm splitting this with a friend. So he definitely wants to do water, and he said you can pick the other one I can have, and you can keep the other two. So brand new box, you guys can see, has its seal, still everything intact. I don't know if the box itself is looks of sturdy construction here, so either we put some of our cards in here overall, even though I've got some of my cards already not sleeved because I need to buy more sleeves because you can never have enough. But I did have them put into a deck box. So as you can tell, it's got the little sorcery hand here, sealed. And let's pop this open. Like I said, I haven't seen too many people go in what's in the pre-con, or as far as I can tell, people said it's a really good starter experience. All of them are relatively balanced against each other. When it comes to constructed, though, they might get blown away, but ooh, it actually comes with a pack. So, as you can tell, you get one of each element. It looks like you get a pack in here, and this box looks pretty sturdy, so you can store your decks in here or your extra cards. We will see what we do. So we have this, I believe that's a Spark Mage. Let's get that central in there. This looks to be the Flame Caller. We pulled two of him on the stream earlier. I believe that's the Water Caller, the Tide Mage, and the Earth. So, in addition, you're going to get some more tokens. Looks like you get a pack. You will get some Robo cards, which we have seen previously on the stream when we opened up the booster box, and a little quick reference sheet, which is good, even though I have opened, looks like a sturdy sounding box here, so you can keep your extra cards and whatnot. So off the bat, my friend said he really wants to play the water element, so we're going to take that out. We decided to split it in half, essentially. I'm sure as we get more into the game, he's probably going to buy his own half, and then he'll give me back a deck or two of the decks he's taken, or I'll just end up buying more so I can teach people the game. I'm really excited. I got people asking me about the game already, so hopefully local meta builds up, or we find a bunch of places nearby that are willing to host and start playing a couple of games. For now, I'm very beginner, casual friendly, so like I said, I'm looking at this perspective of, all right, you bought a box, one sealed box, and you bought yourself the pre-cons. How far can you go? Can you make any viable decks? And I wonder what's in these pre-cons. Are they like good? Do they show you a direction of how your deck is supposed to be built, or like what kind of cards come in here that could be useful? So we're gonna do this the democratic way. We are gonna roll a d3, and whatever the number is the odd deck that my friend will inherit, and then I'll keep the other two and I'll open up the other two and we'll go through them naturally. And like I said, this is more of like a learning stream. I don't have a lot. I've played a lot of board games. I've played a lot of card games. I definitely have biases when I play certain things. I love control decks. I love. Sometimes I like aggro red decks. I'll admit. Who doesn't? I like to play orcs in 40k. Or used to. Love horde army stuff like that. So coming from someone that's been board gaming, playing card games, and all types of games, we'll see how fast an average person can pick this game up, and or how how it feels, right? Starting from my left to right, rolling a d3. So obviously this is 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6. Whatever I roll is the odd deck that my friend's gonna inherit, and I will open up the other two on the stream. Let's go. Roll the 1. So my friend will inherit. I think this is the Geomancer. Well, he'll figure it out. So we ended up with the Flame Caller, and it looks like I believe that's a Spark Mage or the Air Mage. Let's. Do we open up the pack now, or do we wait till later? You know what? I'm gonna save a little surprise till later. Let's open up these pre-con decks. So as you can see, nice sealed pre-con deck. I worked on the lighting a little bit better, so at least the artwork and you can actually read some of the cards. Yes, I did switch the cameras out. It made no real difference. That camera just has better, I guess where it's placed has better resolution than the one that I have for the card cam. Although this, I did work a little bit on the placing of the lighting, so hopefully, you know, helps you guys out. Let's pop this bad boy up. So I did read a little bit more about the game. Like I said, it's been pretty busy at work, seeing as it's holiday season coming up. Obviously, a lot of family get-togethers. Supposed to stream a little bit earlier today, but you know what turned into a casual drop-by at a friend's house turned into a full banquet meal, along with, of course, we played a couple of games of Magic, among other things, so that's why I'm a little bit late. Here we go, showing you what's the inside. Like I said, I haven't opened these. I don't know what's in them. I haven't seen any videos online of people explaining what's in the pre-cons. So this is for, I believe, the Spark Mage. Yes, it is. It's the exact first card. So they added foam. That's nice of them, so cards don't get like all jostled around while they're in there. And all right, starting with the Spark Mage, first card on top. It says your avatar enemies are in for a shock. Tap to play or draw a sight. Like I said, there are many common terms that they have in common with Magic, so things will seem very familiar to a lot of Magic players or a lot of TCG players. Secondary ability, tap, target a nearby location, deal damage to another random unit there equal to the sum of air spells you've cast this turn. So cool artwork, I dig it. Avatar in the back. I don't believe there's anything random about these pre-cons at all, minus what you get in the pack. Not too sure, but we'll go through it. I'm not sure the breakdown of rarity, commons. Lightning Bolt we've seen, obviously staple card, deal 3 damage to a random unit. Unlike the Magic Lightning Bolt, where it will target one thing, I mean, unless there's only one thing in that area, this will target randomly, otherwise it still does 3 damage. Looks like a staple. How many of these are we getting? 3. Alright, so you almost have a playset, being as they are of ordinary cost, which means of ordinary value. That means you're allowed to have 4 in a deck, so you almost get a full playset straight off on the pre-con. That seems like a pretty good way to, and they cost 2 mana. You don't know much about the game. Top left is the mana cost, and next to it, it has a symbol, that's the threshold cost. Threshold means that you must have mana or land that has that symbol in order to even cast the spell. So to play Lightning Bolt, you would need 2 land / mana available. Sometimes certain lands produce more than 1 mana, but you would need to have a threshold of at least 1 air value on any of those lands in order to even cast a spell in the first place. So even if you have the available mana, if you don't have the element, can't cast it. So there goes the Lightning Bolts. Thunderstorm, you get 1 Thunderstorm, exceptional, so this is your uncommon. At the end of your turn, deal 3 damage to a random unit atop affected sites. Then you may move Thunderstorm 1 step. Last 3 of your turns. Now, exceptional means it's uncommon. Aura means that it affects, for example, let's just assume this is the map and it was bigger. It would accept 4 of the squares. Is actually perfect that there is a little grid here. If you cast an aura, well, let's just assume the squares are obviously bigger on the real map, and you put it here, it would affect these 4 squares unless otherwise noted. If it's just a generic aura, it's going to affect the 4 squares. It will randomly deal 3 damage to any unit in those squares, and it can move 1 step, which means it's essentially allowed to move 1 grid up or in any direction, up to 3 of your turns. So it lasts 3 turns, and it magically throws thunderbolts out. Again, artwork superb. Look how good it looks now with the lighting, a little bit better. Next, Lucky Charm, exceptional, uncommon. 1 mana, and bearer controller has, whenever you would determine an outcome at random, determine an extra time and choose 1. So the same way that these lightning bolts shoot something at random, this is going to give you a little bit more control over that. So essentially it will let you roll twice and determine which of the 2 results that you like. Of course, if you roll the same thing twice, no real choice, but at least it's better than nothing. It's an artifact, and it's a relic, and it will stay there for a while, so this will keep your random spells at least a little bit more controllable. Always a good thing. So this is adding consistency to the thing. There's your elite, which is your rare, which is pretty cool. We actually got one of these in our pack. The good old Nimbus Jin. Discard a card, deal 3 damage to another random unit here, which is great because it's never going to target itself because it's another unit that's random. So he is 6 mana. He is 2 Threshold of Air. He does have a fight value. In Sorcery, both the attack and defense is whatever the shield is in this. So that's essentially their combat value. That is the value both they can deal out and take. There's only 1 combat, and a creature does less than its threshold value, it will survive. But if there are multiple combats or multiple things that do damage in 1 turn, it will kill a unit. So if there's only a 1/1 creature opposing it, unless there's any other factor locked in, they're not going to be able to kill it, but he will be able to kill them. And obviously he's a traveling lightning bolt, which is consistent with the Spark Mage theme. Drop there. Exceptional Fairies. Here we go. Airborne range means they can attack further than 1 step away. Another step would be essentially adjacent, which is cardinal directions. Takes no damage from units with 4 or more power, which is good. It's a little 1 mana cost creature, air, and with a 1, which means you could use it to kind of annoy or pester bigger units. Now, the only things that actually stack damage would be your avatar, so you can actually use this to kind of hunt around and pick at little creatures, or from afar kind of move through and past bigger creatures. That way it kind of avoids damage cleverly. All right. Snow Leopard, we saw a couple of these on the stream last time, but now we're actually read the cards better. So it's a 1 with a 1 threshold of air for a 2 attack. Nothing else. It's ordinary, so it's a common. Let's see how many of these you get. 2. I mean, I've got a full playset with what we have in the box, but it's good that you're halfway to a full playset of the Snow Leopards off the Precon. We've seen a lot of these Cloud Spirits, also ordinary. So we get 2 of these, and the Cloud Spirits. Cloud Spirit, 2 threshold, 2 mana cost with a 2 value, and has airborne movement 2, which means it can move more than 1 square in 1 go. So it could actually move essentially 3 steps, which they consider squares. So for example, if it was here, it could move 3 steps away unless it gets intercepted by another creature. Here we have a Dead of Night Demon. This thing is the creepy thing. Looks like it's crawling out of cellar, has stealth. So far we start seeing more of a theme for these, like this air slash deck. Both the lightning bolts, a little bit direct damage. Their creatures seem like they're very elusive with airborne or movement tricks, or just straight out cannot get attacked versus certain things. So I will say that's a big bonus for so far for air. Air was actually one of the things that I wanted to look at. Some of their creatures that as I was separating up my cards looked very interesting and looked like right up my playstyle. So let's see, ordinary. You get 2 of those. Spectral Stalker. Here we go. An ordinary card, which means you could have 4 in a deck. Let's see how many we get in this one. You get 2 of the 4 allowed in your deck. Since in Sorcery, the rarity is actually also kind of like the limiter or the deck building constriction. Ordinary means that you're allowed to have 4 copies of a deck. Exceptional means slash uncommon means you can have 3. Elite, which is rare, you can have 2 of, and unique, you're only allowed 1 per deck. So I thought that was pretty clever. We talked about how deck building is going to be, you know, influenced by that. It's very easy. You know, you can really easily spot how to deck build with that in your head, or rather that in your kind of knowing that. So super powerful cards. Yes, they're going to be strong, but you're probably only going to see them once on the battlefield unless there's a way to recur them. Like we said, air seems to have all these little tricks and traps. It has the ability to void walk, which means, if you guys can see that, if it's not too shiny, there you go, void walk. Which means in sorcery, your creatures can only walk onto spaces that have land, obviously because everything else is a formless void, unless you have our little friend here, Spectral Soldier, Spectral Stalker, which means he can travel outside of places where there are land. So it's good that we have spare dice here. Let's just say there are 3 lands providing mana, and there are just a bunch of empty spaces. The Void Walker can actually go onto those empty spaces as if they were land, compared to other creatures that are limited to only spaces that have land on them. So they could get around the board in hard to reach places because they are not restricted by the same things that other things would be. Here we go. A 3/4 Headless Hunt. Again, an exceptional creature, which makes it an uncommon, and has Void Walk. At the start of your turn, Headless Hunt teleports to the top of a random site or void. So he gets to travel around a lot, maybe aimlessly because he has no head, but pretty cool with the Void Walk. He's not going to be limited of where he can go, only the fact that it could be anywhere on the board. And you get 2 of the 4 allowed. 2 of the 3 allowed because it's exceptional. An exceptional archer, a kite archer. We have not, I believe we didn't pull this in our box. So very cool that a lot of the uncommons we actually haven't seen or haven't gotten in the first box. And I think that's pretty good. It shows a lot of breadth of that artwork is glorious. It's a ranged unit. Immediately after performing a ranged strike, Kite Archer may take a step. So as soon as he attacks, he could either go in any of the cardinal directions to get away or get closer to certain targets. So air is all about all of these little tricks things. Although it's exceptional, you only get 1 of these. So if you want to play a set of them, you need to find 2 more. Midnight Rogue, ranged and stealth. Now let me just look up quickly, since I do have this up here, and let's look up what stealth does. Sorry, going a little bit fast, unless it's in here. Good. You attack, you defend, you strike. Where is stealth? This unit cannot be targeted by opponent's spells or abilities, and it cannot be attacked. Enemy units cannot intercept or defend against this unit. Stealth is lost forever after the unit does anything other than move or pick up or drop artifacts, or if it deals damage by any means. So you have what we would consider, I guess you could call it Shroud in Magic, for the lack of a better term, until you decide to attack. So once you break that stealth, no more. But it's good that you can get around the board and you can't be intercepted. So if you want to get really sneaky, get in for a kill shot, or get into a really clever position in order to mess up your opponent's plans, that's what you have stealth for. Now we're going to look up ranged, which I believe, ranged. This unit has the ability, tap, strike target enemy at the range of up to 1 step in a cardinal direction. This unit may also intercept airborne units flying over them. So it's good that you can attack from a range, and you can also attack airborne units, which generally could just either fly or cannot be intercepted as they do what they need to do. You get 2 of these, 2 of the 4 possible for these Midnight Rogues. We get a Plumed Pegasus. We saw this bad boy before, looking all majestic, flying in the skies. 3 cost for 3, good. A 1 air, and has airborne, which, like I said, we're just going to go over it a bit and kind of just like make sure that we get everything on the... Now that we understand these cards a little bit more, I really want to just go through them. So airborne, this unit may move diagonally when taking a step on the surface. In addition, when taking a step, this unit may move over the ground and therefore cannot be intercepted by units on the ground unless they have airborne range. This unit cannot be targeted by attacks from units on the ground unless they also have airborne ability. So, like I said, ranged units could stop airborne units, kind of the rock, scissors, paper of it. They also can attack in, can move in non just cardinal directions. They can move adjacent which is in any of the squares next to him. Alright, so there goes our Plume Pegasus. You get 2 of the 4. You get Spire Lich. Let's get that a little better. Exceptional, so that means you can have 2 of them. Inspired Lich is atop a tower. It has the +2 power, range, and spellcaster ability. So +2 power would bring it up to a mighty 3, and a ranged, as we said, it could intercept ranged units and fight against them. And in addition to that, it has spellcaster, which generally only your avatar is technically a spellcaster. So you cast spells from your avatar, which is why you need sometimes to be a little bit. You can't just keep your avatar in the backfield. Well, I mean, maybe some would be better or more comfortable there, but if you have minions that have the spellcaster ability, they can cast spells from them instead. So it's good to have kind of like that extra reach, not putting your leader or your avatar in danger, because obviously if your avatar takes too much damage, you're going to be on the back foot or you're in danger of losing. So anytime that you can kind of mirror off the effect, it's a plus. Alright, we've got some Gyre Hippogriffs. Airborne and Charge, exceptional, so they are the uncommon variety. Charge is essentially haste in Magic, which means you're not affected by Summoning Sickness. So, and yes, Summoning Sickness does exist in this game, so as soon as you put them out, they can just go out and attack. They do have a threshold of 2 air elements, and then they cost a 4, but they do have a 3 attack, or a 3 prowess. Skirmishers of Mu, exceptional, so uncommon, ranged. During basic movement, Skirmishers of Mu may perform a ranged strike from any location along their path. So that's pretty good that they can move and attack in almost in any direction, not just the cardinal directions. Makes them highly mobile, as you would imagine with guys on horses and bows. You get 1 of those, they are exceptional, so if you want to play set, you need 2 more. The Roaming Monster, and now that I think about it, it wasn't it was Howl of Beyond that I was thinking of when I was thinking of the classic Magic card. It looks like the monster of Howling Beyond. He looks like he would be in the Fiend Folio or Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual. The Roaming Monster is a 5 cost, 5 mana, 1 air threshold. It has a power of 4. I keep calling it the wrong name, but I'm going to consider that power. So if I get confused, I know that everybody else watching knows the Magic terms. Power will be the same thing too. May be summoned to any site. So what we're going to go over with summoning is summoning you can summon onto friendly sites that you own. So for example, if you put out a land, you can summon from that land, or you can cast certain spells if they're limited by that, to that land. But the Roaming Monster can apparently just be summoned from anywhere, so he's going to be a threat wherever you put him. If the enemy thinks he gets a little bit too comfortable, guess what? The Roaming Monster shows up and is getting ready to, do the business. Ordinary Monster, so if you need a play set, you need 3 more of those. Highland Clansmen we've seen before have Charge. They are a little costly on the 7 mana, so maybe more of a late game punch, but they do have a value of 5 and Charge, which means as soon as you put them out, you can get to business with them. Apprentice Wizard, 3 cost with a 1 threshold, and it only has a 1 power, but he is ordinary, which means he is a common, and he does have the ability to spellcaster, so he can cast spells just as if he were your avatar, kind of like I said, a good mirror to keep from safety. If you have those lightning bolts, you can use it from the spellcaster, the Apprentice Wizard, kind of mirrored off him. And Genesis means when they are played, they have that one-time effect. Unless another card, tells them like redo their Genesis. I know Death Speaker does have something similar to that. So Genesis, draw a spell. So you obviously have only 2 decks, your Spellbook and your Atlas, where you get your lands from. Him just replacing himself as soon as you put him out, very good. And you get how many of these ordinaries? You get 2 of the 4. Ooh, nice. An Elite, which is like another rare that is in this precon. Grandmaster Wizard. 6 cost, very high. 2 air threshold. He has a 0 prowess there, and that will mean that a stiff wind will take this guy out. But he is a spellcaster, and you actually draw 3 spells. So even if he does nothing but draw you 3 additional cards, I mean, that's essentially why he's a rare, right? You can have 2 in a deck if you have that many. Blink, ordinary. An ally teleports to a location. It's nearby. Draw a card. So nearby means in any of the 9. We're going to illustrate these using. I wish we do have. we do have coins or hearts somewhere. Here we go. So in this game, adjacent is, I'm going to use these little, there we go, these show up fine. Whenever anything refers to adjacent, it's essentially a cardinal direction. That means straight forward, back, or center. Where if it's nearby, it is in any of the 9 squares that you can occupy. So if something teleports you nearby, you can go to any of these 9 squares. If it teleports you or has an ability that says adjacent, it means you're only allowed to go in the cardinal directions, including the square that you are on. So I feel like that is very useful to be able to run away or to relocate or to get closer to your prey, in case that is something that you need to do. In addition to that, you draw. And anything that replaces itself, you're going to get a lot of value of. Like I said, the wizard, high cost, but he comes out, you get 3 cards that could totally turn the battle for you. This is a good getaway or to gap close. In addition to that, you're going to be able to do everything that you need to do. You get, how many of these are ordinary? 2. So you get 2 of the 4. We got our good old teleport here, also ordinary. Teleport an ally to the surface of target site. Now, this is interesting. One of the interesting elements of this game is that there are essentially 3 levels to the game, or I guess like 3 types of, yeah, I guess you could just call them levels. There's the surface, there is the subsurface, which is underground. There is the flood or the water, and then there is the void. The void, as we said, is a place that there is no land. If a place indicates that it is water or flooded, that means that it has a water element to it. The subsurface is, there is a mechanic that could burrow you, which means you're underneath the land, which makes it harder or undetectable to certain things. Where teleport will put you onto the surface, onto the top layer of the plane, essentially, the playing field. Now, you don't draw a card, so is it arguably better or weaker than Blink? I'm unsure. Like I said, I don't have play experience just yet, as I did not meet with my friend, as it is the holiday week / weekend. So maybe very soon we'll be able to get a game in, and we'll tell you how important that may or may not be. Right now, Blink looks a little bit better, only because it also replaces itself by drawing a card. So let's see, you get 1 teleport. Raise dead. Exceptional. Summon a random dead minion. So that lucky charm looks like it's going to get a lot of value in this deck. And this, even though this is an exceptional card, yep, it's an uncommon card. I did not get this in my pool box. So very interesting. You just, if you only have 1 dead guy in your graveyard, then you automatically summon that guy. If you have more than 1, then you have to find a way to randomize depending on how many that you have. Not bad for a 4 cost. It does have a threshold of 2, but things like you don't have to pay the casting cost again. So if you only have that exceptional wizard that draws cards for you and you bring them out of the graveyard, technically you're coming out with 2 less mana cost. In addition to that, you're also drawing 3 cards. So Chain Lightning, exceptional. Deal 2 damage to a target unit nearby. So like I said, nearby is the cardinal directions. I'm sorry, is in any direction. And number of times, any number of times, you may spend 2 to additionally target a new unit nearby to the previous one. So it does cost 2, but if you wanted to keep having more of an effect, you're going to keep paying 2, 2, 2 in order to get more of a random chance for the Chain Lightning to hit. I kind of like this deck. I do love random. I do love gambling. You're definitely going to have to add more of that lucky charm card in order to kind of mitigate some of that randomness, but anytime you could do direct damage, and it looks like you get how many of these? Exceptional. So you get 2 of the 3. So you get 2 of the 3 that you would need in order to make a play set for a deck. And now it looks like we're going to hit the atlases of the deck. So deck construction typically consists of 40 spellbook cards, your avatar, and 20 atlas cards. Atlas cards being like the mana or land. It does have its own separate deck. And in the beginning of the game, you do draw 3 and 3, so it's not going to be completely mana screwed in the beginning. So let's see what kind of mana it suggests that we have. Gothic Tower. Ordinary, so it is a common. So if a site does not indicate its rarity, then you're allowed any number. But if any card has a ordinary, exceptional, elite, or unique title to it, then you have to follow those restrictions when you're deck building. So, Genesis, if this is the only Gothic tower you control, gain 1 this turn. So you will get a mana for owning it, and you also have the threshold and the 1 mana to burn off it. So you can use that 1 turn extra boost to cast something a little extra, but then after you place it down and it's done, it will only provide the basic 1. So it's a nice little ramp. And it looks, maybe you get 4 of these? No, you get 3. So you get 3 of the ordinary, so you're missing 1 from a playset if you decide to run that many. Although, because you're only getting the effect once to get that extra pump, unless you're going for consistency, maybe you don't want the full 4 in your Atlas deck. Like I said, it's a maximum of 20 cards in your Atlas deck, so maybe you don't want to be, you know, all getting the cards that offer that bonus, because if you get mana flooded with the same card, you may be missing out on something a little bit better. A Dark Tower. Genesis, it has the same thing. It's an air site, it's ordinary, but it has the same as the Gothic Tower, but it does have a different title name. So you can have a Dark Tower, a Gothic Tower. And the good thing about this, we saw with the, I believe, the Spire Lich or the Spirit Lich, when he's on a tower site, which means when he's physically on top of it, he's going to get Spellcaster plus 2 power and give other bonuses. So I have a feeling that's why they put him in these decks. And let's see how many of these we get. Maybe 3 also. Yep. Again, same thing. The Lone Tower. So it looks like all these little ramp towers, not only to fuel your Spirit Liches that you have in the deck, but also just to get a little bit of extra mana on the turns that you need in order to cast and push through some of your spells. And so you have 3 of those also. So you have 3 of the towers so far. You have a Mountain Pass, an exceptional site. Minions cannot enter this site on the ground if there's a minion already atop. So, like I said, this game is very much about positional play, very much about where you are on the map and how the map is built. So I feel that this adds a lot to the game, because you need to figure out, you know, where am I going to put my land, where it's going to be more useful, where am I going to put where do I plan my turns, where do I want to spawn my minions from. And being able to essentially hold a spot by itself by if you're parking a minion on it, as long as he's strong, or maybe you just want to make the enemy waste a little bit of time clearing your minion out before, you know, you get your turn and move along. This is an exceptional site. That means you can only have a max of 3 in the deck, and 2 come inside of the pre-con for the Spark Mage. Upreft Ridge, exceptional site. Airborne minions atop Ridge have a movement of +1. So they can move an additional step unless they get intercepted / blocked by another creature. So it's a kind of pretty cool to build. You know, you have a couple of flyers in here, so / airborne units. If you park them on this and you start moving really fast, then you can have multiple creatures on a site, unless, like, the Mountain Pass specifically tells you that you can only have 1 per, or only 1 player. So it's good. You get your mobile units even more mobile by just parking them near here. Obviously, since this is a mono deck, you only have 1 element, and the element is air. And you have 2 of those. Observatory. Yeah, much better. An elite site of Destiny's Decipher. Genesis, look at your next 3 spell cards, put them in any order. So this will give you a scry type of effect, which you will use in order to kind of scry. This will let you look at your spell book, range it anywhere you want, and it still provides mana at the end of the day. So it is a elite, so it's considered a rare. Pretty good. I think that being able to adjust how you want your spells or when you need certain things is definitely going to help you out. Of course, it's still providing mana, so it's still providing fuel for the rest of your cards. Oh, I have not seen this. Elite, so a rare. Planar Gate. Minions here can traverse the void, gaining Void Walk until leaving it. Insane. So you already have a couple of minions who have the ability to Void Walk, which means they can walk on spaces that do not have land, either yours or your opponent's. It's that empty space is considered the void. You can put your minions onto here near the edge of the board and have them traverse the board without penalty, and they have the Void Walk until they decide to come back into the reality. Very cool. Artwork is, like I said, this camera's a lot better. I should say the angle and the lighting's a lot better. You guys can see and appreciate the art a lot better. Excellent. And what is our last card? Cloud City. It's not called Bestman, though. A unique site, so this is what's considered a very rare. Once returned, this site may fly to a nearby void. This is great. So you do have to have a threshold of 3. I don't know if right there. You need to have a threshold of 3, and then once per turn it could float to an empty void, so it can float to an empty spot. I'd have to look this up, don't quote me on this, but I believe because there are minions on it, it will float along with any minions, so you can have like a little, floating army on this, or you being able to reposition where you need it to. I can see why it's unique. So, let's see, so just in one precon, you're actually getting a good, I didn't think you'd get this many rares, or very rares. I mean, just the last, 3, I believe you get 5, I know that mage is 1, and let's look through here real quick. Exceptional, exceptional, ordinary, ordinary, ordinary. An elite, the Jin, lucky charm. You definitely want to add more lucky charms to this deck. So this Spark Mage deck looks pretty good, and it has 1, 2. Let's see, elite, elite, unique, elite, elite. All right, so it actually comes with 5 rare cards, 4 rare and 1 very rare card into its deck, and it looks like it is like a very well made deck for a beginner to play, because it's very straightforward. You're not mixing elements, you're sticking to a handful of keywords and just maximizing on that, but either giving it to those units or giving them a buff, so you can kind of double down on that sort of mechanic. Like I said, I don't have that much. I don't have play experience. I have a little bit of reading experience. I've seen a couple of reports and videos online, but it looks solid for a starter deck. You've got a lot of cards adding to redundancy. You have nailed the theme down, and you just keep nailing it down. You add the randomness. You add something to kind of mitigate some of the random, so that there's not a big feel bad if you don't land all your hits. But they are strong enough where when you do land them, they're gonna feel great. You have a bunch of airborne units. You play around a couple of the keywords. Overall, it looks like a solid deck. As like I said, I'm a beginner, so for me, this deck does not need to explain a lot to me. So once I figure out the rules for sure, I'm sure maybe the first or second game I'm going to have a little bit of iffiness on the rules, but I've played enough games to kind of be able to pick up the deck, look through the cards. If someone explained it to me, or someone when I run into a game, I'll be able to see what the deck needs to do, and it's very straightforward. So very cool. That is the Spark Mage deck. I said I don't remember seeing a lot of people online talking about like what actually comes in these starters, so I am very excited that these kind of things, like, I can just review it and talk about it openly. 1 second. Wow. Next, Flamecaller deck. I said we were lucky enough to both get a Flamecaller, which I'll probably give that avatar to one of my friends so they could like kind of learn the game, but also we were lucky enough to get the holographic Flamecaller, which looks so sick. I was very happy when I pulled that out of my box. Let's see what the Flamecaller deck has to offer. So the same, comes with little foam to kind of protect your cards. Flamecaller, that's just a real sick pose and artwork. And what he can do, tap to play or draw a site, which I believe all avatars have the ability to do this. It's very basic. To draw from your atlas, or to play one of the cards from your atlas to start forming the land. And his secondary ability, tap, banish all your dead fire minions to shoot a projectile. It deals damage equal to the sum of their threshold. So you can throw a bunch of disposable guys out, and then chuck them when you really need them to either get rid of a pesky mess or deal the killing blow to the opposing avatar to win the game. So this looks like it's definitely going to be very straightforward, definitely going to do a lot of damage. It's not going to play around with a bunch of the tricks, kind of like the air deck did. But let's see what else we have to offer here. So the Infernal Legion. Love that artwork. I believe this is elite, so this is one of the rares. At the end of your turn, deal 3 damage to each other adjacent unit. So it is a little bit costly with a cost of 6, with a threshold of 3, but they are 6 power, and they will keep burning things around them, which is very, on brand for the Flamecaller, or for the fire element. We saw these little these little dragonettes, 3 for 3/3, a threshold of 3, exceptional. Oh, sorry, threshold of 2. At the end of your turn, the dragonets shoot a projectile. It deals 1 damage. So maybe they won't be able to kill most of the big things, but they are little dragonets. They're really cheap, have a good decent power, and if you can get rid of a lot of chaff or a lot of the foot soldiers, just I believe, or just have a threshold of 1. Yep. Or if there's an avatar nearby, you can slowly start pinging them to death. Lava Salamander. 2, threshold of 2, cost a prowess of 1. Fire spellcaster, takes no damage from fire spells. So it's exceptional. Very cool. If you're finding another fire deck, this is kind of like protection from fire. So, from the spells. They could still be beat by things that are of the fire element, just not fire spells. They're immune to it, so just in case they're in the blast of something, and yes, there is a couple of fire spells that tend to do a lot of blast or aura damage, they are going to be safe from it. You only get 1 of these. They're exceptional, so that is uncommon. We saw a bunch of these camels, of course. Ordinary, no actual text except a little bit of flavor text. It's 1 mana for a 2, a 2 power camel. Pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy to write home about, but you do need to punch, kick, fight, and spell blast your way across, and this just seems like a little effective 1 for 2. You get how many of these? 2. Pit Vipers, a 1 for 1 with a 1 threshold. Has burrowing and lethal. So burrowing, as we recall, is one of the special abilities that certain units have in the game, and it can be summoned to exist and operate normally underground. When taking a step, it can move from the surface to a land site to the underground level there, or vice versa. So they can hide in one of the sub layers underneath where they can't be targeted, or they can burrow up. They can be summoned to that layer, burrowed, or they could be on the surface level. Lethal means that if they hit something, I believe, let's just, like I said, we're learning, so any strictly positive amount of damage to steal so minion is enough to kill it. So as long as the damage doesn't get negated or anything like that, that 1 damage, it hits something, it is going to kill it. Kind of like Death Strike in Magic, if you guys are familiar with that. And 2 of these terrifying ordinary beasts. Rimland Nomads. 2, a threshold of 1 earth. 1 fire. For 2, movement +1. Takes no damage from deserts. Now, I believe we drew a couple of deserts in our opening, and a lot of those deserts tend to hurt things around them since they're, fighting for water and whatnot. So not only are they quick because they have a +1 movement, where most things only can move 1 step, they can move essentially 2 squares, and they're not going to take damage from those deserts. I'm sure we'll see those later on when we get to our Atlas. You get 2 of the possible 4. Sacred Scarabs, 2 cost with the 1 threshold, and they have a 1 power. They are ordinary, and they are airborne, so they can fly. Deathrite, deal 3 damage to each unit here. Deathrite is when they are killed or damaged and they die, they will do 3 damage to a unit here. Here referring to the space that the Sacred Scarabs they are inhabiting before they die. So if they are in a square and an enemy comes to that square and kills them, anyone in that square, it will do 3 to each unit in that square. So you can send them essentially as ticking time bombs into a square filled with enemies, and if the enemy is dumb enough to kill it, they're going to take a nasty little surprise of 3 damage. Wayfaring Pilgrim, 2 for 1. It is an exceptional, so it is your uncommon. Whenever Wayfarer Pilgrim enters each corner of the realm the first time, you may draw a card. So as he's slowly expanding, he's slowly gaining new cards. It's a good way to kind of, it's conditional, but for this deck it seems like you are going to try to expand the map, at least with these guys. You get some Ogre Goons. Ordinary Ogre Blunder About. Nothing else. Just a little flavor text. They don't have any keywords. They're 3 for 3. Pretty straightforward. I mean, what would you expect from something that's an aggro deck and or a fire deck? You're going to be pretty straightforward with the things you want to do. Come out, beat face, be efficient at beating face. Let's stay aggro. And you get what, 3? Wow, 3 for, so you're almost at a full play set of those ogres if you want to run them. You got Quarrelsome Kobolds, 3 for a 2 power. They are exceptional, so they are uncommon. At the end of your turn, cross-home combats strike themselves or another target adjacent unit. So, as long as you don't keep them around your units and you throw them near enemy units, they are not going to kill themselves, but they will hurt other units. So, this is the kind of unit you want to rush up to or near the enemy and just have them constantly swing on the enemy at the end of their turn. So, yes, they may die, but at the very least, you're getting some good value and out of step attacks. Clan of Harpies, exceptional monsters, airborne. Genesis, tap target weaker minion to this location. Clan of Harpies may strike it. Ooh, interesting. I'm sorry, teleport. So you put them out, and they can charm a unit towards them. Even if they don't necessarily kill them, they're going to strike them, do damage, so maybe they'll kill them then. Even if they don't kill them then, you're putting the enemy in a bad position. Maybe you're drawing them into all of your units, or getting them just in just positioning. Trojan Cavalry, charge. Ordinary, 4 for a 3 attack. You put them on the board. Charge means they could just not affected by summoning sickness, / they have haste. You can attack right off the bat. Place them down and just start attacking, moving and attacking. Sandworm, 4 for a 4. Burrowing, landbound. Now this one, I believe that they cannot go... Landbound means that they must stay on land. They cannot go into any water space. So landbound / land sites are all sites that are not water sites are considered land sites, including sites with no element icons and rubble. So they cannot go into water at all. Which, unless you're facing a water deck, maybe it's not too much of a burden. They're pretty straightforward. 4/4 burrowing went over. They can go into the subsurface and hang out there and not be attacked, and they're pretty safe unless they get drawn out or they want to come out and do some damage. Basilisk, 4 cost. A 3 power, nice looking art, exceptional. Other minions at rest here or 1 step in front of the Hillick Basilisk are disabled. Disabled may mean that they cannot move, attack, or hit the camera a bit. Move, attack, or do anything of note. Let's just double check. Like I said, we're learning, so learning experiences, guys. Unit that is disabled cannot use its game box. In addition, it cannot use abilities such as moving, intercepting, attacking, defending, interacting with artifacts, and casting spells. Disabled units also can't do things themselves, such as moving or striking. They can be targeted with spells like a spin attack. They just don't perform the action. They can still be passively or externally moved by things like telekinesis. So the Basilisk does what the Basilisk is going to do. It's going to make and freeze everything around it and just keep it there locked in. Which, like I said, it's something you would expect the Basilisk to do. Here is an Elite, which is our rare. The Ascalon Phoenix. 5 cost, 2 threshold with a 4 of power. Airborne. If the Phoenix would take damage from a fire spell or ability, it grants +1 power this turn instead. So he actually turns off any fire spells that may have randomly hit it, and it gets more powered up every time that you do it. +1. The Cyclops is a 6 for a 6. Ooh, I haven't not seen. This is some pretty gnarly art here. Looks like he's getting ready to party. He's a monster. Doesn't strike back while defending, so he's all about attacking. You're not gonna. The fact that he can't strike back while attacking is kind of like a detriment. I don't know if that's kind of the cost because he is a 6, so he's a big boy to strike, but he is not striking back. Wildfire. We have not seen this card. That is gorgeous. Conjure Wildfire atop a single site nearby. At the end of each turn, each unit here takes 3 damage, and then move Wildfire to an adjacent location that is not visited before. If none remain, dispel Wildfire. So 4 costs with a 1 threshold of fire, so it will keep roaming around the board, burning things in its way until it's do its course or it can't go back into any. Very cool. Firebolts. Seen a couple of these. Shoot 3 projectiles the same direction. When at a time, each deals 1 damage. So it's just a little bit of ping damage for a 2 cost, 2 mana, 1 threshold cost. Super straightforward. It only goes in one direction, which is straight. So far, we haven't seen any spellcasters, so it seems like your flamecaster is going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting here as far as being the one where a lot of these spells get chucked from. Fireball. Oof, gotta have a fireball in every sort of Magic game, right? Exceptional, which means an uncommon. Shoot projectile, it deals 4 damage on impact and deals 2 damage to each other unit at that location. So, it does a nice little burst of damage there, and it's the units in that area also. Like I said, it would be the square that you're currently occupying, so if your opponent decides to stack up a lot of his creatures up in one spot, they're going to get hurt. Mad Dash. Draw a card, then give an ally movement +1 this turn. It is a 2 mana cost with a 1 threshold, so pretty good. Like I said, I love cards that replace themselves. You give a unit +1 movement to kind of gap close or to run away when it needs to, and then immediately you draw a card. So even if you use it purely to draw a card, I'm all about that. Blaze. Looking great. Exceptional, so uncommon this turn. Give an ally +2 movement. It can't be intercepted. It leaves a trail of fire in its departed locations. When it stops, each unit along the trail takes 2 damage. Wow. So you get a movement just running through the board and leaving damage as they tend to trail through the board. So not bad. A little bit on the costly side, but the +2 movement is definitely, like I said, you're gap closing with a lot of the stuff that you want to gap close. You don't even need to expand your land that far forward in order to get to grips the enemy, because it seems like you do have a lot of movement tricks and shenanigans in order to get there faster. Heat Ray. Shoot a piercing projectile dealing 2 damage to 1 unit in each location along its path. So it's essentially a ray that will hit anything on its path dealing 2 damage. Not bad for 3. Like I said, we expect the fire element to be very straightforward. Minor Explosion. Deal 3 damage to each unit at target location up to 2 steps away. So you can attack from like I said, steps are like squares, so you can attack something from 2 squares away, and you will be pretty good with that. So let's just keep going with some of that. You get how many of these? 2. Incinerate. All of these spells you can kind of see where the inspiration was drawn from, quite literally. Incinerate. Ordinary. Deal 4 damage to each other unit at a target location near the caster or an allied dragon. So, pretty sure we come across dragon, but like we said, your spellcaster is generally going to be your avatar. May put him in a little bit of danger so far, a lot of these spells, but the cool part about this is that a little costly at 5, but if you have any dragons, you can cast from your dragon, keeping your spellcaster kind of safe. It does 4 damage, will get rid of a lot of those mid-level to high-tier creatures, and it will clear a nice little board state for you. Cone of Flame. In Exceptional Magic. Wow. Alright, so I don't know if you can see that here. So you literally cover 1, 3, 5. Wow, you cover like 9 sites essentially, with the damage being in front of you being the most damage. Like I said, in this game, there's a lot of positional play. There's a lot of things that you want to look out for. So you definitely want to be very careful where you place your units. You can easily lose a lot of units to a lot of this flame color deck, or just a lot of decks that have a lot of aura or area effect type spells. This is it. It's going to do not a lot of damage to it's going to do a ton of damage at the front, and then it's going to spread in a wide cone everything around it. It's going to take damage too. Maybe not as strong, but if you have a bunch of weak foot soldiers that only 1/1s or weak things, that is going to knock out a lot. Speaking of, we drew one of these rares in our box. Major Explosion. 7 mana cost with a 2 threshold. Insane art. And like I said, if you look here, you pick a spot. That one spot's going to take 7 damage. The cardinal directions are going to take 5. And then the nearby locations are going to take 3. So this is up to 2 steps away. And each area effect. Oh, there's just gonna everything in that one spot. That I have not seen anything over 7 yet. So even if you picture avatar and you have your avatar surrounded by a bunch of other minions, they are most likely your avatar's gonna be very hurting or dead. In addition to that, your minions are probably all wiped out that happen to be standing next to your avatar. All right, we get to the Atlas cards. Genesis, deal 1 damage to each minion atop nearby site. So, as we said, those nomads ignore some of the desert sites, and it looks like maybe all the desert sites are going to ping damage. That's their thing. Although this is going to be to minions. Yep, minions are not your avatar, so it'd be all the little guys that run around. But it's good to clear the board out. You got 3 arid deserts, 4 arid deserts. Red deserts do the same thing, just by a different title. They are ordinary, so you could have 4 in your deck. And do you come with 4? You do. Red desert, you get 4. Remote desert, also ordinary, you can have 4 in your deck. And there are 4 of them, I assume. There are a lot of deserts when it comes to red. Yep. So they will also do 1 ping damage when they're revealed. So your nomads are definitely going to ignore all of that and run through the desert fast as they can. Shifting Sands, exceptional. Genesis, reactivate the Genesis abilities of one of your nearby deserts. So this is pretty great. Yeah, not only you're expanding your land and your mana, but you also, the enemy thinks he's safe. You're just going to reactivate your lands and start pinging them all over again. You get 2 of those. Ooh. Vesuvius, a unique site of doom foretold. There we go. Needs a 3 threshold. Sacrifice Vesuvius. Each unit occupying a nearby site takes 3 damage. So you are sacking it in order to a piece of land. I believe when you sacrifice, you don't even get a rubble. So you are giving up a little bit of tempo. But if you can clear the board out, and it seems like there are plenty of ways for this flame color to do it. It looks like that's what they want to aim it for. And then you get your cornerstone. You can play the site to any corner. So this artificially extends the map. Yes, it is. The artwork's a little bit weird, I guess, but the concept is cool. Like we said, the beginning, the map is a 5x4, which means it's 5 across and 4 in depth, and you will you play off that, but using a card like Cornerstone artificially enhances or expands that map in order so you can play some cool tricks. So far, I did like the air one, but that was more of a bias. Let's see, does it have the same amount? I believe it does have the same amount of rares, elites, and uniques. Let us make sure. Exceptional. Elite. Does it have 5 like the other ones? Or I should say like the one that we opened up for air. There goes your nomads. Camels, all salamander, infernal legion, elite, and your flame caller. So air had 5. Well, it looks like, unless I missed one, it looks like the flame caller deck only has 4 rares, but it does pack a lot of damage in there. Exceptional, ordinary. Yeah, it only has 4. I am looking through these just to double check. I don't want to. Ordinary, exceptional, ordinary. Yep. Looks like there's only 4 rares in this deck, but like I said, it looks very straightforward. Everything that you're doing is going to do a ping or blast damage, and you already know what you're playing for. And this deck, yet again, I said this deck is looks like it's very straightforward. I don't have to do a lot of guessing. I'm going to do more than, you know, learning the basics of the game. That is the flame caller, guys. One sec, gotta rehydrate. Like I said, it was Turkey Day here in the States. If you're from the States, we are now to the pack. Almost into the stream. Let's see what the booster, the topper for the pack of the booster box that we bought had a handful. I believe it was like less than half of this. Little foot soldiers, if you weren't able to appreciate it the last stream. They're little 1/1s. There are a lot of game effects that either pump out or give you these little tokens. So this little, so this one has a little bit of different art on these foot soldiers. You get 3 types of art, so that's very cool. You get some frog tokens, because of course they have submerged, which means they can go into water. It's essentially the same keyword if you're in water as burrowing is to land. Get a couple of frogs. They have different art on them too. Burned, pretty good. Keeps track of your spells that you move and leave a trail behind. So pretty good. You get a lot of these burn stat effects. Followed by flooded. So flooded is a game status effect that happens to sites where water literally floods a site, which means that it is considered / in water, like the sandworms essentially that do not want to be in water or that need to be submerged or need to be near water to get special effects, in which the watercolor or wave color, I forget its actual name, needs things like that to happen in order for its deck to run or for its deck to run more efficiently or smoothly. Here we go. Now comes the robo cards that we got at the top. Like I said, when sites are destroyed or when they're indicated, I believe the Geomancer leaves a pile of rubble, so it becomes like neutral ground where anyone can. Not sure if you can spawn on it. I definitely know that it's considered land, so you can move onto it. Now, I don't know if this is a random pack. It doesn't say alpha. I know they were indicating that the beta packs would have a certain indication or didn't have the Q code. Now, let's see. Are we lucky with our random card pool today? Technical diff. Oh, this is a childproof pack, guys. I don't think I can get in this. There we go. Satisfying. Alright. Do we have luck? Good old Will-o'-the-Wisp. It is a fire element. Exceptional. Void Walk. When wizards are attacked, they may teleport to a nearby void or location to evade the attack. So they'll always stay kind of annoying, just out of arm's reach. Here we have an Outback Strider. May move freely between land sites not occupied by other units. Oh, pretty good. They just move without any restriction. 3/3 Fireball we just saw, and all right, let's see. Can we get a good rare? Third card in. Wow. All right. Mask of Mayhem. Elite. Whenever a nearby minion can attack, it must. Nearby strikes deal double damage. Wow. So a 4 cost, it does not have a threshold. You just got to pay for it, equip it to a minion or on a minion, and that thing has to keep attacking, and it will do double the damage. Even if you're a little 3, power guy, you're gonna hit at 6. That's pretty good. We got our Disenchant, our Swan Maidens, our Cave Trolls, our Mad Dash, and now here towards the back end of the pack, I think I saw a foil, so it's gonna be a foil, a curio, or and the foil could be any rarity. Even though it's in your ordinary side of your pack, the foil could be of any rarity, or it could be something extremely rare. It was an Incinerate. I don't believe we had the 3rd Incinerate in the pack for the Flame Caller. Some Border Militia. So summon foot soldier to each site you control that borders an enemy site. So pretty cool. It's just a spell that essentially summons those little foot soldiers all along the edge if you have multiple sites. A Porcupine Pufferfish. A Wild Boar. Maybe I didn't see foil. I was just imagining things. Clans. Oh, I did not. It's alright, guys. And every last card in the pack is either going to be a avatar or it will be a land site. So it's a good way to. You buy enough packs, you will also get land. Simple Village, Genesis, pay 1 to summon a soldier here. So when you first put it out, it is an Earth site. You can summon those little foot soldier tokens that we were looking at. Not bad. Not bad at all. Pretty happy. I did not have that rare card, or very rare because it's elite. No, it was elite, so it was just a rare card. Pretty happy with that. So far, I've not seen too many of the same things. A lot of those, even some of the PreCons that were cards that I did not have previously. I honestly cannot wait to play this game. I am waiting till I see my friend and we could kind of split the box, or talk about more about the game. I know he has a box coming on the way, and we have the pre-con. So I think in the beginning we can go with the pre-cons, play 1 or 2 matches, and then or play a couple of games in the day, and then like the following meetup, because we'll each have a box. That's the only reason I don't want to crack my second box. I kind of want to keep the experience very casual in the beginning, and then I am looking at it right now. It's very tempted to see what's in that box, but I think for now, I'm gonna call it. I guess this is more of a late night stream. It's already pretty late here. It's 2 in the morning. Had a full day. Did not expect to stay out that long, but also just wanted to stream a little bit, kind of get some content out there. We are an organized play, just a bunch of guys playing casually. A lot of us, I say casually, but we're all secretly, not competitive. We all like playing around and trying our best, going to a lot of events and whatnot. I know tomorrow / I guess tonight, we have either Vacaro or Panda / Jared doing some content. We're going to try to keep pumping stuff out for you guys to watch, keep our stream, and feel free to shoot us suggestions. Hit us up on Instagram on Organized Play. Hit us on our personal. Obviously, you see on the screen, Serial Killer 195 on Instagram, or most any platform you will see me. Contact me. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what kind of content you want to see, or something you want to see explore. I've actually got some miniatures I'm going to start painting up on stream, so if you guys just want to hang out and talk about that or any other game while we chill out and just watch some stuff together, let me know. I'm always down for new experiences and learning and playing new things. So till then, guys, we're going to cut it here. Like I said, it's kind of a short stream. I just want to review the pre-con decks, and now in my head I think I have an idea where I want to bring the decks, but like I said, I think the concept of what I want to put into the deck compared to what might be useful to a deck, I like the consistency that the pre-cons offer. Like I said, they're very straightforward. From what I've heard, when they're played against each other, they are pretty fairly balanced. But if you are not going to have like that same sort of experience, if you brought that pre-constructed deck to a constructed format, that's to be expected. I think in any game you're going to have that big difference in consistency, where we think it's very consistent now. I'm sure a lot of players who played the game a lot says like, oh, you don't really need that card. I wish they put more of this card. But $40 gets you 4 decks, a bunch of land, a couple of rares, and you get a free pack in there too. So 100%, I would go out and get there if you want to learn the experience and see if you like the game, because $40 is not a huge investment just to see a game, like play a game a couple of times. I've definitely spent more than $40 playing on a board game that I've only played once or twice. This, you get 4 decks, so you could at least get 4 plays, and you get a card pack with it. A couple of tokens. Yes, you don't get the mat, so that would be my only drawback. I wish they had a paper mat in there they could unfold and play on that. I mean, not that it takes long to, make a grid or whatever, but if that is my only gripe, I'm fine with that. Till then, guys, like I said, this is Drew, aka Serial Killer. Thanks for stopping by and watching this video. Whether you see this on YouTube or in other media, Twitch or any other media, just let us know and reach out to us. Like I said, Unorganized Play on Instagram. I believe we have a Twitter, or myself. Contact me, Serial Killer 195 on most platforms. Thanks for visiting, guys, and thanks for watching and singing the song. If you have any questions, shoot them, say hi, do whatever, and thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time, right? More sorcery, more gameplay, more everything. It's on its way, promise. All right. From Organized Play, it's Drew. Take it easy, guys. Bye.